Howdy folks, TJ here. Crash Radiocast number 8. And this just popped up into my head. I needed to think of something I wanted to do. And at first I was going to do what's my favorite specky video game. Since this is mostly a specky related channel, but I'm sure anybody can chat about anything. And it's going to be chaotic because I have a cat outside the office that wants his food. I've got 2 cats in my office. One just walked over to the door and wants out. I want this video to be kind of chaotic because my thought is, let's elaborate. Rather than just make this a favorite video game, I'm just going to rattle off some favorite things, video games, foods, hobbies, whatever comes to mind. It would have been a lot better if I had somebody rattling off questions to me that was sitting over there. So we're going to make this spontaneous, like spontaneous combustion. By the way, that scared the shit out of me. As a kid, quicksand scared the hell out of me. Every TV show had quicksand, and I thought I'd die in quicksand at some point. Other things that made me scared, spontaneous combustion. I mean, just the thought of a human body can sit here and go poof and blow up. It literally happens. They catch on fire from like in the middle. At least that's what I thought as a kid. So the cat's probably going to start meowing. Maybe I'll go get off the camera and let one of the cats out and just see how more chaotic it can get. But I'm going to have to think of a item in my head and then answer it without too much forethought on what I'm going to answer. I think those are kind of fun. Let me see if I can put this cat out. Hold a second. And so you're listening to a radio cast. So should you ever have quietness in a radio cast? It throws everything off. People are probably listening. How can you have, you don't want any empty space in the radio cast because every second is money. But on Crash Radio, it's free, so there's no money involved, at least that I know of. They obviously have to host this, but they freely have time of like myself. I make radio casts. Simon Butler has a cast. I sure hope in time some other folks get added on to the equation because it will make everybody's life more fun because you get to find out what they tick, what makes them tick, what makes Simon tick, what makes TJ tick, what makes whoever's next tick. I think it's all going to be fun. Let me just start rattling off, and I'm going to itch my ear. So on the radio you can't see this, but I got an itchy ear. I've got to get my hair cut. My beard is Santa Claus size almost. I've got it worked into the budget to get my hair cut this month. Do you still do budgets? Some people are so rich they don't have to worry about budgets. My wife and I budget, but we don't do it well because we budget to zero. I'm going to go let the cat out. We budget to $0 means that we never have money. Get out, cat. Go out. We never have money, but that's why we have to budget because we have to say, do we have enough money this month to get haircuts? I'm getting older and balder, but look at this beard. I may not have hair in my head. I'm showing my head to the camera, so you can't see this until the video cast comes on later. But I could grow one kick-ass beard and mustache, kind of Santa size. But yeah, I can't wait. And so you get burly hairs, and what happens is some of them curl back and they start tickling your ears, so it looks like I'm always picking and rubbing my nose. And sometimes literally, I just did pick my nose. I got an itch in there because I got some hairs growing up in there. I need to get a manicure, damn it, soon. So where was I? So favorite thing. Let's just start rattling off. So what's my favorite Spectrum Next game? And the first thing that comes to mind is Night Night. I love that game, and it's not even a full game. It was only a demo of like 7 levels, but I completed it. So maybe that's why I like it, because I seldom finish video games. In my life, I finished Zork 1. You hear the silence again? It's because I don't think I've ever completed any other game. But Night, the demo, TJ can actually play some video games pretty damn well, like Dig Dug. What's my favorite video game of all time? Dig Dug. I kick ass on that. And I used to do really good on Moon Patrol, too. But Dig Dug is something about bloop, 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 and blowing up little critters. Very fun. But yeah, favorite Specky Next game, Night. And for us Specky Next owners that are in the Kickstarter number 2, guess what? We supposed to get a full-fledged version of Night Night. And what always throws me off is Night Night. Is it N-I-G-H-T space K-N-I-G-H-T? Or is it night as a night and then nighttime night? I always mix them up. I think it is night as in N-I-G-H-T. It's the nighttime. And then space night, like a knight of shining armor. Anyway, my favorite game. I love it. I do actually pretty good at those kind of games. So I can't wait for the new version. I can't wait for my Specky Next Kickstarter 2. Comes soon at a USA Bloke's house soon. Can't wait. So what's next? Favorite video game? I think I already said Dig Dug. Love Dig Dug. Loved playing it at the arcade. Like playing it on my home too. The Atari 2600 version is Atari 2600. Obviously, it's not arcade style, but once you got up into the 8-bit computer versions on many platforms, they were pretty damn good. So I love Dig Dug. Everything about collecting, the song, the graphics, the simple idea of blowing up pukas. I mean, who doesn't want to blow up a puka in a fight car? Just kick-ass. So that's it. Let's rattle off. My favorite food. Think. Pizza. I love pizza. I mean, who doesn't like ooey gooey cheese on dough? TJ could live off of dough alone. If you gave me a loaf of bread, sourdough. I like a hard, crusty outer bread and then soft in the middle with some cheese and some booze. I mean, wine goes great with bread and wine or cheese. But any beverage is fine. But yeah, a nice bottle of wine, a loaf of sourdough, and some cheese. I'm set. And a beautiful woman by your side, that's even better. And I'm a married man, so I better appropriately say my wife, even though we always, when you get older, you bitch and moan at each other a lot. I'm sure there's fairy tale romances out there on the movies, and there's probably one or two in the world that are actually never argue with each other. But when you're as old as I am and married 33 years and together 36, most of the days get up and kind of grunt at each other. How's your morning? Hey, give me some coffee. You know. And you kind of grunt and groan a little bit. And then there's times that you're a little nicer to each other. But other times, like, did you do this? Did you do that? Why did you do that? Why didn't you do this? You get older and you get grumpier, and I still love her. I think she loves me. I don't know. But we're together still, and that's much better than a Hollywood, because in Hollywood, you basically hook and poke someone, and then you're done with marriage right afterwards. So, yeah. So where was I? So pizza. Love the cheese. Love the dough. Love the sauce. And I would say my favorite pizza, the less is more. I like the less is more approach. I could just be happy with cheese pizza. I do typically like a 2-topping pizza, cheese being one, and then slap on some chicken. My wife and I are mostly vegetarian. If you haven't been following my channel, I've been a meat eater all my life. But for the whatever reason, I think it's because our oldest dog passed now about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And we were always playing with vegetarianism, eating less meats. And we just at that point after her passing just kind of said, you know, let's start, not become full-fledged vegetarians. If we can, great, but let's cut out the meats as much as we can. We still eat some fowl, and periodically, if we go out to dinner, for example, and if for some reason it's a meat barbecue house, we're not going to not, indulge. We will periodically, but we eat very little compared to the average household meat these days. Most of the time, Monday through Thursday, we're mostly vegetarian. We eat a lot of faux stuff that, like burgers. You can get some pretty damn good veggie-based burgers. There's a lot of plant-based meats these days that taste pretty damn good. We prefer Impossible meat. The brand you can cook and it looks like meat and it tastes pretty damn good. I won't say it tastes like a good, hearty burger, but it's pretty damn good. There's lots of veggie burgers out there that taste like a veggie burger, which is fine if you like veggie burgers, and we like some. But in terms of the faux meats, the chicken's come a long way. You can get chicken that looks like chicken or faux chicken, looks like chicken, tastes like chicken. Is it chicken? I mean, it doesn't taste perfectly like chicken, but it's pretty damn good, much better than years ago. I remember this is going to be a really all over the place cast, but I think I'm just talking about general everyday stuff, which is fun because you also have everyday stuff. But the first time we had a vegetarian faux-based burger was like 1990, 90s, mid-90s, early to mid-90s. We had a can of stuff that was supposed to be like a bean-based burger. Oh, it was like a hockey puck. It was so bad. Things have come a long way. So if you want to just lay off eating and killing a few less animals, having a veggie burger or a veggie something every once in a while won't hurt you. And it actually, is refreshing. I love a good veggie sandwich, for example. If you go to Subway or any house that makes a good hearty sandwich, having a sandwich that has sun-dried tomatoes, some type of slight hummus layer, red and orange peppers that are slightly sauteed, red onion fresh with some vinaigrette dressing slathered on it, inside of a wonderful sourdough. I got another cat wanting out. I'm going to open up a sourdough, big old loaf of bread cut and slathered with all these things. It tastes wonderful. And it's refreshing. It tastes a little lighter, a nice spring day, something you would have on a picnic. You don't always have to have a slab of roast beef or ham or whatever. Just try a veggie sandwich. It tastes good. Now, again, a good-ass steak, oh, God, that tastes good. But I haven't had a good-ass steak for a while, so we're mostly vegetarian. So anyway, my favorite food, pizza. Okay, what's next? My favorite car company, Volkswagen. I love air-cooled Volkswagens. If you know me and watch some of my videos, I do periodic videos, I love air-cooled Volkswagens, which led on to love of newer Volkswagens. Now, don't start me on German engineering BS. I'm going to cough. I think I just spittled all over myself. German engineering, I feel that most Germans, they had half the day was drinking at the bar, and then the other half was going to actually design a modern Volkswagen. Because this shit, even though I love driving them, something about European or Japanese even, or German cars, they're sexy. Oh, are they so sexy? They're fun to drive. My wife owns a Mini Countryman, a modern one. Love to drive it. But this shit don't last for a long time. That's the problem. Window regulators. For whatever reason, every German car I've ever had, the window regulators break. One can break, and then the next one breaks. And you got 4 of them, and they all break, and they cost a lot of money. BMW owns the current Mini Cooper. Window regulators. They freaking go out on my Volkswagen 3 times. Come on. And you were drinking. And then other things like you got to replace this. It's more of a consumable part of your automobile. You know it will go out. Yet Volkswagen designs it in the middle cluster, and you have to take fenders off. You have to take everything apart to get to this little thing. If it's going to be a consumable that you don't think is going to last the lifetime of the vehicle, make it a little more easier for even a mechanic to get to. I'm going to throw out something. So my Volkswagen 2010 Volkswagen Beetle, there is a deflector that deflects where the hot air is going. And that deflector breaks. And there is no easy way to get to it. You've got to take the whole dash apart, the whole middle console to get to it. You were drinking, German engineering. You stink. I'm sorry, but you stunk on this one. You should have had a panel that would have been a little easier to get to. I know they got to make vehicles smaller and compact and all this other stuff, but there's some things that if you're going to make it really hard to get to, tighten that bolt and put some red Loctite on that son of a bitch, because we don't want it coming undone. We want to get to it easier. But anyway, I still love Volkswagen because of the air-cooled. What went from simple, the Volkswagen of old, that the common man can repair it and service it, is gone a long time ago. Now you're going to be a rocket scientist with 10 hours on your hand that just take one freaking bolt off. But I still love Volkswagen. So yeah, Volkswagen. So enough about bitching about that stuff. I'm sure I'm going to bitch and moan. I'm an old person. When you get older, you like bitching and moaning on shit. Somebody's going to call me a boomer right now. No, I'm a Gen X. I look like a boomer, but I'm a Gen X. I love Gen X, and I'm loving that I'm part of that generation. Anyway, what's next? What's my favorite? I'm looking at a lot of computers. What is my favorite computer brand? Atari. I'm going to say, even though you know me, most of you, for being a Specca user, I was an Atarian first. I will always be an Atarian in terms of my favorite. When you're a kid and you kiss your first girl, you're going to remember that forever. And no matter how much better things can be out in the other side of the pasture, you're going to remember that first one, and Atari is it. Now, a very close second for me is the world of Specky. Just because of the sheer quantity of games, the sheer quantity of that little caboose that could, or little train engine that could. It's not super horsepower, but it just did its best with every little nook and screw that it could get there. So I love my Specky too. But yeah, favorite Atari, or favorite computer brand, Atari. Okay. What's my favorite computer? That's a son of a bitch hard one. You know what? Even though I always say the Atari 800 being your first is my favorite, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Behind me, and you're listening to the Radiocast, but behind me is the Spectrum Next. I'm going to elevate the Spectrum Next to being my favorite computer, just in all, because of everything that it does. I created my first games on it, even though the Atari 800 was my first computer, and you had that first girl kiss. Oh, I love the Atari 800 is miles in terms of. I love the Atari 800, the design of it, everything about it. But if I had to pick one, I went with my gut, and I'm going to go for right now my Spectrum Next. I love that at this age, it makes me as excited about playing with computers again. Did I even start this recording? Yeah, I did. So yeah. Now, what is my? Okay, so we did computer. What else do I have? It's been picked my nose again. I got allergies. My nose is really about to run. What other thing? Oh, I did food. What's my favorite? This is where I could have somebody right now ask me a question. I'm just panning my room around and looking at things to give me ideas. Okay. What's my favorite modern computer platform? Mac. I love OS. I love everything about that was the computer that I was Atari from 1980 to mid-90s. When I had to jump ship because our Ataris and Commodores and Amigas and all that were leaving the building, I switched to Mac. I do have Linux. This computer here is Linux, and I do use that for my everyday box. 2014 is still chunking, and once it stops chunking, I've got plenty of Apple stuff around here, but I love Apple in general, even though, yeah, they're that big evil empire that's gonna, a lock hold on all of our credit cards. I still love Apple. I like the design aesthetics behind it. And yeah, I'm a fan of the old Apple, fan of just Apple in general. I like how it works. It just works most of the time. Any computer is going to screw around with you once in a while, but I love Apple. So yeah, modern, I would say anything to do with Apple, and I'll just throw it out as Apple, because at this time I use an iPad Air 5. That is now my main video editing tool since my trash can, some people call it. I called it a nuclear reactor. And it did actually melt down a little bit because I think the video cards get crotchety from heat, and that's what conked out on it. But yeah, I love Apple. So that's that. What's next? What's my favorite hobby other than computers? Fishing. I love Tenkara, specifically Tenkara fly fishing, but I love just getting out on a pond, on a river, being alone. I'm more of a sole practitioner. I just like getting out, getting away from the kids, which are fuzzy kids, cats and dogs, getting away from the wife. I mean, like I said, we've been married forever, and she likes to get rid of me too. She wants to go and do her thing. I'll do my thing. Just having the peace and serenity between you and nature is very special. It's just a time for yourself and a time for you to just concentrate on, for me, fishing. I get in a focus. I try to read the waters. Fishing is not throwing a frickin' bobber out on the water. For some, it may be. If that's your thing, wonderful. But for me, it's scoping out a river, trying to picture where the trout will be, where he will want to move to eat food, because trout are not stupid. They do have, even though they say their vision is not great, amazingly, they can eat little shit-ass flies, but they will try to stay in calmer water. And on video right now, you're seeing me moving. On the radio cast, I'm just kind of giving the shimmering motion. They go to try to a little calmer water so they can sit there and focus on, okay, here comes from food. Foam is home, as they say. I'm going to move up to that foam and eat a fly, eat a bug. And you need to read waters. Fishing is fun. Catching is wonderful. A lot of people don't know how to catch. They know how to fish, but they don't know how to catch because they're not giving time to read the water, analyze what's going on. And that is part of the fun of Tenkara fly fishing for me, is just getting out on the river, reading it like a good golf shot. If you've ever hit a golf ball really well, I don't. But you hit that one really good. When you hit it right, you go, oh, that's how it's done. So you feel good when you cast and you let the fly drift and know all of a sudden, boom, it takes your fly. The excitement is there. The play is on. You're moving your rod left and right and around. You're running around the waters a little bit, trying not to kill yourself, and eventually bring the trout to your legs, knees, of hands. Letting it go is a wonderful sensation. So I love Tenkara fly fishing. So that is my main hobby. It's kind of hard to think of questions. Like I said, this was on the spot thing, and the video's already probably 20 some odd minutes. But what is my favorite movie? Oh God. Favorite movie of all time? The Last Starfighter. The Last Starfighter. Wonderful movie. I'll admit, because my friend Bruce and I in high school, junior high school, so on. Oh, Mags. If you watch The Last Starfighter and you know who Mags is it Mags? I'm pretty sure it's Mags. The girl in it, the main girl. She's a cutie. Still is. She was in other movies, but not tons of them. I forget the other movie she was. She was in like The Last Comet or The Last whatever it was. She was in a handful of movies, but she does some of those Comic-Con kind of things. Anyway, she was a cutie. But everything about the movie was very fun. It was a vibrant time in terms of movies back in the early 80s. And there's tons. You've got the E.T.s, you've got the Star Wars, all that stuff. But for whatever reason, The Last Starfighter stands out for me for one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie, and it just brings me, maybe that's why I like the Speccy and these old computers, because they bring me back to a time where it was a little less. As you get older, you got bills to pay and all these other things that worry you. We're going to get by this month. When you're still living under the roof, you kind of throw some of that back on your parents. Even though you've got chores to do and stuff you got to do, technically, you know, they kind of own you for a while. And but still, it was a special time. My parents were pretty good parents, too. So they took care of us kids. But yeah, anything else pops into my mind right off the bat? I'll have one more last thing, and then we'll wrap up this video. What else is kind of a strange thing? Cars, animals. Okay, what is my favorite animal? Let's say pet, because there's lots of cool animals. Let's just say favorite, not a specific pet, but breed. Is it a guinea pig? Is it a rat? Some people call rats, snakes, dogs, cats, all those things. I'm going to have to go with dogs. We had cat when I was a kid, but it was, I think, my grandparents' cat, and it was mean son of a bitch. But the dogs were different. We always had a dog in our life, and I love dogs. I like that dogs and cats are two different things. Like men and women are two different things. Dogs, you can actually typically train to do some pretty stellar things. Cats are like, feed me, clean my shit, clean my cat box. I do what I want to do. I own you, you son of a bitch. That's what cats think. Yes, they come up on your lap, and they can be very gentle, and you can pet them and squeeze them and stuff like that. But dogs are different. They look up to you. Even if they've had a bad day, you're still their boss. You're their leader. You're their owner. Dogs look at you typically different. Now, I may say, we'll add up our current Australian Shepherd. is not that. She's got a little bit submissive side when it's right for her, but she rules the roost. I think they dropped her on her head when she was a puppy because she is not your average ordinary dog. She's got some compulsive disorders, I guarantee it, about her. But I still love her. I still love Cooper, our first little boy now. We've got a 1-year-old corgi. And I'm going to say, after these two, they're young. So hopefully they'll last a good 13, 14 years. By then, we'll be in our 70s. We maybe have one more dog in us before we're just too old to handle it anymore. And it's going to probably be a corgi. Even though corgi's got a little stubborn side to those little bastards. They got a little Napoleon complex about them, but they're pretty fun little dogs. But they're not a Labrador Retriever. They're not a good dog that typically you can train easily and they do stuff for you. Australian Shepherds are wonderful, but they're so high energy. We've had two. Our first one was if I had to pick one dog, my Australian Shepherd, our first one, she was lovely. Everything about her, she wanted to please you, appease you, love you. She couldn't wait till you get home. Everything about her nature was nice. Our current Australian Shepherd, I just made a post this morning because she's just now 2 years old. And my post was a smart ass. The earth opened up, and 2 years ago, a poo popped out, and there was a sign on her that says, "From the devil." Ours was basically from the devil, and that's what she's been. And I said I love her, but it hasn't been an easy 2 years. But overall, in general, dogs are wonderful. I love our cats. If you want to just be able to pick up and leave for a weekend jaunt, you and your loved one, you can do that with most cats. You can leave some dry food down and leave for a 2-day weekend and come back and they're alive. They're pretty self-sufficient. You put a poop box out for them, they'll poo and pee in it. Most cats. We've got a boy cat that's 13 years old that poops and pees where he pleases. He's got issues. For some reason, our last batches of animals have had issues that they screwing around with you. And this cat will not eat dry food. Period. It can be starving. I'm not going to eat it. I can only eat moist food that's good. We tried in the early days. We're not going to feed you anything else but dry food. The cat was about to die. No, not that close. But it was like, no, I'm not going to eat dry food. Period. So we got to feed him moist food. And what does that mean? There's not a dispenser that you can create that keeps moist food fresh for multiple days. There may be $1,000, $2,000 one that you can plug in as long as the power doesn't go out. That may do it, but I'm not investing that kind of money into it. But our other two cats, we've got 3 cats, we'll leave dry fine. We can leave dry out. So normally, for most situations, my wife and I could leave on a nice romantic weekend, come back. But with dogs, it's different. They can't. They rely on everything that you do, which means you're going to have to put them up at a kennel. And just putting up dogs in a kennel is expensive. And you always worry about kennel cough or any other things, even though you get them the shots. There's worries about that you're putting them in a kennel. So it makes life harder, just like having kids. You got to have somebody babysit. But dogs are still it for me. So that's it. Hopefully this video you found entertaining. Post down below. So if you're on the Crash Radio site and they post up a link thing saying TJ's Talk is coming up. This is number 8, by the way. Post in the Facebook group, answer all these questions that I just basically did. If you're watching the video version, post down below what your favorite things are. Curious to know. So anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching when this video cast comes on a few days later. And have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.